huge debate erupting around the country as coronavirus cases continue to spike. We see Los Angeles and California leading the way. California now putting stay-at-home orders on 23 million Americans. But the way that lockdown is being administered has a lot of people very upset, especially this has kind of gone viral, and I think it bears discussion, which is a woman who owns a restaurant who invested a lot of her own money in order to make outdoor dining and more possible, and the kitchens and the wait staff and so much more, filmed this incident where her restaurant is required to close, but the film industry, which is vital to the California economy, is allowed to continue and operate tents where they're going to feed their staff and their crew outdoors in much the same way that outdoor dining would take place, one being deemed safe, not the other. Let's take a listen to that.
So this is my place, the Pineapple Hill Grill and Saloon. If you go to my page, you can see all the work I did for outdoor dining, for tables being 7 feet apart. And I come in today because I'm organizing a protest, and I came in to get stuff for that. And I walk into my parking lot, and obviously Mayor Garcetti has approved this. Has approved this being set up for a movie company. I'm losing everything. Everything I own is being taken away from me. And they set up a movie company right next to my outdoor patio, which is right over here. And people wonder why I'm protesting and why I have had enough. They have not given us money and they have shut us down. We cannot survive. My staff cannot survive.
And Krystal, I think this is rightfully sparking outrage across Los Angeles. I mean, while you were out, we covered this. The woman on the Los Angeles City Council who voted to shut down outdoor dining cast that vote and then went to a restaurant in Santa Monica, an Italian restaurant, to dine outdoors in Santa Monica. We had the Austin mayor caught in Cabo on vacation, went filming a video telling Austinians, is that whatever? All right. Austinians to stay home and that now is not the time to relax. On November 9th, at the time
while
we were flown on a private jet to Cabo San Lucas in Mexico. I mean, I can go on, London Breed, by the way, was caught at the French Laundry the day after Gavin Newsom.
Oh, really? I missed that.
Kind of perfect. The city of San Francisco. At this point, it's easier to name the mayors who aren't hypocrites. And look, I think at this, I hate this because I sound like such a libertarian, but without any stimulus, without any support from the government, shutting these people down is a death sentence. It is a total death sentence. And then if you're going to enforce it, then you have to be at least fair, which is they're prioritizing the film industry over outdoor dining. I mean, the outdoor dining evidence just couldn't be more clear to me. And we're talking here about restaurants, bars, hair and nail salons, and tattoo shops all required to close. And meanwhile, these film crews, and podcasters are, given an exemption because they're apparently essential employees. As a podcaster, totally cool with that. But I'm like, okay, this is
You're
messed up.
essential to me, Saagar.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm essential to you, and creating content. But these people who spent, in many cases, over $100,000 on kitchens and all this to accommodate COVID
you're
are just getting screwed.
You're changing the rules of the game. I mean, this is the thing. As with every friggin' thing in the entire society, follow the money, right? It's the same story in New York. Why did they shut down the schools when they left indoor bars and restaurants open? Which indoor, there is a lot of evidence that contributes to spread, whereas with schools among young children, there is not a lot of evidence that they contributed to spread. And there's, of course, a massive impact on young children, especially in low-income households, not getting to have that regular school day. And why did they make that choice? Because they needed the tax revenue from the businesses.
Exactly.
So you have, and it seems like very similar situation in California where it's easier for them to shut down the restaurants than to shut down the film industry. So that's what they do. And you end up with what is like COVID lockdown theater that isn't actually enough to curb the virus, is just enough to outrage people and expose a ton of hypocrisy and make the life of, the woman that was in that video incredibly, incredibly difficult for no reason. And it just becomes insane. I mean, I just keep thinking about how we really have gone the exact worst possible path where we've imposed these restrictions, which, in some cases they make sense. I think the mask mandates are actually good and helpful.
Sure.
Indoor dining, I think, has been shown to contribute to a lot of spread. Some of these things are helpful and useful, but because it's been done in a really stupid and oftentimes hypocritical way, people are rightfully rebelling against that. And then the biggest failure is that we didn't do what needed to be done to make sure people's economic livelihoods were protected so that they could comply with these lockdown restrictions that are needed. I mean, the problem here, and we can throw this Wall Street Journal tear sheet up, is just saying, hey, let's just reopen the economy. That's not a solution either.
No. Yeah.
Because, look, Sweden was held up as the model by libertarians, right? They embraced this concept of herd immunity. Their guy in charge there, very sort of heterodox in his views, very different from any of their neighbors in Europe. They also have basically admitted that didn't work for them. They are now instituting the kind of lockdowns that we have here, that we've had in Europe, that we've had around the world. And even when they were saying, hey, go out to concerts, go to restaurants, use your own judgment, it's not like it was great for their economy either. They had a very similar economic slowdown to everyone else. And now actually, because they had this herd immunity approach, rather than providing the kind of generous stimulus that some of the other countries did, they're actually in worse shape now because the virus is spiking out of control. They've had this is per the Wall Street Journal, Sweden has had 7,000 coronavirus deaths. Denmark, Finland, and Norway, all similar-sized countries, which are neighbors, of course, have had 878, 415, and 354 deaths, respectively.
Yeah.
So they've got a crushed economy, they've got no safety net in place, and they've had 7,000 deaths, which is many, many, many times more than what their neighbors have had. So that is not a good strategy either.
No, and I think this is where we've basically been put. And I think I blame Washington more than anyone. Because,
absolutely.
And like I said, why is New York trying to keep these bars open and the schools closed? It's because of the money. They need the tax revenue. Yeah.
They're totally screwed.
And I sympathize. I go to New York sometimes. The subway already sucks. They're about to cut 1/3 of the MTA. That's insane.
Yeah.
Same here in Washington. The metro here is about to become unusable because of the lack of state and local bailout. This is going to be the case across the entire country. And it shouldn't even be a choice. That woman should not have a question in her mind. She should not even be facing bankruptcy because of this pandemic. She did nothing wrong. She should be able to wait it out as long as she needs to. And when she's back, good to go. Her and all of her employees.
Yep.
Same with the film crew. I'm for everybody. It's a national crisis. That means everybody, rich and poor, are actually in it. And yet, all we see are favoritism, people having to pick favorites, all this hypocrisy exposed. Public trust in this is a complete disaster. Same thing on the vaccine front. Joe Biden coming out saying vaccine mandate is not going to happen. I think that's probably the right case because people don't trust it. A lot of people don't trust. They trust nothing whenever it comes to so much. Dr. Fauci, he's like, I support the California stuff. And I think, again, the rightful critique of all of this is that if Congress does not step up on the stimulus and on the economic side, then a lot of people are not going to comply. And it sets lawlessness. Many sheriffs, I think it's a Los Angeles County sheriff, is like, I'm not going to enforce stay-at-home orders on businesses. You're seeing a breakdown of civil society.
Yeah, and I have a lot of sympathy for the state and local officials, which, I don't have a lot of sympathy in general for a lot of politicians, but they've been put in an absolutely impossible position because all the failures track back to here. I mean, the failures start and stem from here. These were the people who actually had the power, and still do, by the way, have the power to make this all work so that people can stay home and not lose their business and not lose their job and be able to feed their families. And they're not getting their act together anytime soon.
Yeah, really.
All right, we're going to have more Rising for you after this.